Hey, Doctor Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 332.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey, Doctor Who fans, welcome back to another week. This is episode 332. Hope you're keeping well and safe. Hope you've had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related. That was a good one.
An extra ooh there.
That was a good one. I hope your brains have all recovered and that you've put them back together again.
You remember R5D5 in Star Wars?
Yeah.
The little white and red droid when he gets picked and he comes out all happy because he's been picked and then he blows a gasket before he even gets to the end of the... That's me. That's my mind blown. Psh.
It's got a bad motivator. Look, blew its stack.
What are you trying to do to me?
What are you trying to push on us?
That's me this week.
That blue unit is in fine condition, sir. So I hope your brains are all healed and back together. We're going to come on to our review in a little while of Chapter 3, Once Upon Time. God, what a mind melter, dude! Jesus Christ! Just thinking about watching that episode now is just making my brain hurt a little bit. So I think we've done a decent enough job of rewatching it a couple of times and somewhat getting a head around it. So all the smart Doctor Who fans listening, we do apologise. You've probably watched it once and were like, "What's the problem?"
Yeah, what's your problem, mate?
Yeah. So do apologise if we're a little bit, a couple of thickos this week. But it's going to be good. So, I've not done anything too much in the way of Doctor Who. The only thing I did do was last night. I watched the TV movie.
Oh, yes. I saw your Twitter post, yeah.
Yeah. I really needed something else other than, not even anything to do with Jodie's era, dude. I just needed something else that wasn't modern Doctor Who. I just needed something entertaining and light and simple. And yeah, the old close your eyes, finger across the bookcase thing stopped at the TV movie. I was like, yeah, fine. Love some McGann. So yeah. So I enjoyed that last night, dude. I think it's one of those things. Every time I watch it, I get a little bit more, appreciation for it. So yeah, a bit of the old TV movie action for me. What have you done, dude? Anything?
No, not at all. No, it's been a really quiet week for me. I just saw your tweet from the TV movie thing last night, and I agree with you about the McCoy's outfit in that one. It is cool, isn't it?
It's very cool.
It's just sort of like a slightly toned down. Yeah, I'd love to have seen more of him in that. I love the TV movie. I kind of felt like watching it because your screenshot just really put me in the mood for it, bizarrely. But I didn't get a chance. No, I've had a quiet week, mate. My Galaxy 4 Steelbook arrived. Really lovely Steelbook, that one. but I haven't had a chance to crack it open. I saw it at the BFI, so I've seen it recently anyway. But yes, it's been a bit of a quiet week in the old household this week.
The Steelbook, is that still available? I don't think I pre-ordered this one, weirdly.
Ooh, yeah, I think it's still available. It's a really nice one. It's like I'm colourblind, so I was going to say bright orange. It's probably green. No, I don't know. I think it's bright orange. It looks lovely anyway, whatever colour it is.
Okay, I shall investigate that. I think the standard Blu-ray is normal price. Yeah, it must be. It's 30 quid still.
Yeah, I know. Those Steelbook prices are creeping up, aren't they? Because it's two discs, but it's still 30 quid. Do you see they're doing one for the for this series 13, Flux? They're doing an Amazon exclusive by that artist. Is it Alex Zhang? Am I getting that right?
I think so.
That does look really good. I love that style of artwork. When it's weird when you compare something like that, which just looks like, they've really gone to town and the artist has done a great job, and then you go back and look at the Series 11 Steelbook, which was a photograph taken on an iPhone. It's like, it's like, what? I still don't know what happened with that Steelbook. What went wrong?
Yeah, that's not really.
They did.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry. Well, it's just that they did some really nice artwork for Series 11. It's not like they didn't have anything. Do you remember they did? Or was it Series 12? They had that swirl stuff. But I know there was some nice artwork for Series 11 that they didn't use.
There was actually.
I think it is that one. Yeah, because I remember the standard DVD was like the really nice artwork, and then the Steelbook was that iPhone photo of her on a hill.
Yeah. Yeah, just someone. Yeah, we need this quick. Lens is busted. Get your phone out.
It was taken by one of the actors, I think, from that episode. It's the Ghost Monument, isn't it? Can't remember the actor's name, but I think he said, "Oh, that's my picture. That is.
Oh, nice.
I took that. Yeah, it's like just stolen. Oh, we need that for the Steelbook because we've got all this fantastic artwork we've commissioned, but we need that photo, mate. Hand it over." Yeah. How did that happen? Who's making these decisions?
Yeah.
Some drunk person.
Yeah. The only thing is with the series stuff now. And we haven't got too long to wait until the Series 13, both the Blu-ray and the Steelbook Blu-ray. They're both out at the end of January at the moment, 24th of Jan next year. Yeah. The only thing is that is there going to be some controversy again around it probably won't include the festive special, will it?
No, it won't. People are already kicking about it. It's a weird one, that, because
so weird. Yeah,
it is annoying, but then this series feels standalone anyway, so I'm not sure where I stand on that one. I don't think I'm too bothered if it's not in there, but I get why people would like it on there. I don't know.
There's a bit of markup on these as well, 40 quid for the Steel Ray. Yeah, it's 38
for the Steelbook. Yeah,
38 quid on the Steelbook, and it's only 19.99 for the standard. Why is the Steelbook so much more on this one?
I don't know, because again, only 6 episodes, isn't it? It's not like it's a mammoth 24 season. 6 episodes, 40 quid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shocking.
A life of a Doctor Who fan, eh?
Oh, I know.
There we go. Rightio, before we crack on with our review then, just want to let you know that we have brand new episodes that land every single Friday for free. So make sure you listen in whatever podcast app you listen to your podcast on. Give us a follow so that they land in your app automagically. You can listen to the episodes on our website too, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. They're all on there, along with our reviews and opinion pieces and articles from the writing team. So check all that out as well. We've got some new articles landing in the yesterday, if you're listening to this on Friday, and then throughout next week. We are on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. There are links on the website, or just do a search for us over there. Come and chat Doctor Who throughout the week. Having some good old chats with peeps on the socials at the minute. It's very, very cool. Who fandom is in a really good place at the minute. So having some really good chats on the Twitter and on Facebook and stuff. So come and get involved. We're also having a good chat over on our Discord server, which is also free. So come and hop in there and chat Who with other Who fans. And make sure you check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is, of course, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, go and have a look at my channel. I'm also on all the socials, of course.
Of course,
Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, yeah. Just put out a mega unboxing video, didn't I, mate? Mega!
Oh, that was cool, that video, dude. You did a good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yes, if you want your advent calendar ruined, go and have a look at my new video. I basically open all the doors like a kid who cannot wait for Christmas. I do put a warning at the start.
What an advertisement for your video. If you want your Christmas ruined, go and watch my video. Yeah. No, it is a cool video. Yeah. And that calendar's pretty sweet.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, so go and check out Adam's stuff, The Geek's Handbag. Go and get a cuppa and go and watch all that stuff. Right, dude. Hit us up. Review time.
Oh, you're not going to do the news about the ratings?
Yeah. Yeah. Got carried away, see?
You did. You just can't. You cannot wait to get into the review, can you?
Like one of those greyhound dogs. Yeah, in the trap, ready to spring out. Very sorry then. So very quickly. So for Once Upon Time, the overnight figures are in and they sit at the moment at 3.76 mil for the overnights, which is a slight drop on last week again. So last week, which was War of the Sontarans, the overnights for that one was 3.96. So we've lost a few viewers there.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the consolidated figures actually for week before last, War of the Sontarans Chapter 2, that came out at 5.10 million.
So a bit of an increase there, which is good.
So that's pretty good. Yeah. And then the AI score, the appreciation index for Once Upon a Time is currently sitting at 75.
Oh dear.
So when you take these first three episodes halfway through the series, the average at the moment is 76 for the AI. So not amazing, not great there. But there's still room for improvement though. That could jump up as we get through the last half. So I have no idea how this episode has impacted the AI score at all. I don't know. But it's currently at 76 for the series. Yeah.
Yeah. This could have been a deal breaker this week. We'll see. We'll be interested to see next week.
Yes, indeedy. Yeah. I haven't missed any other news, have I, dude? No, that's it. Right,
no,
cool.
Go on. You can do it now. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Review time, dude. Hit us up. What are we doing?
Yeah, so it's a chapter. Hang on, let's get it right. Chapter 3 of Doctor Who Flux, Once Upon Time.
On my command. I spend my life walking into new places and weighing things up fast. Doctor! You don't put yourself and your friends in the midst of a time storm unless there's no alternative. What is that? I can't hold on to everything! I will not let them die. What do you want?
To reign in hell.
We've come to reclaim what you took.
You shall not have this!
Epic stuff.
Good luck with the synopsis. Go.
Yeah. Chapter 3, Once Upon Time. Went out on the 14th of November, obviously. Written by the Chibinator, directed by Azure Salim. Stars, the usuals for this series, obviously. Jodie Whittaker, Mandip Gill and John Bishop. Reasonably sized cast again to support them in this one. And the synopsis is, I'm going to cheat because I've got it off of Wiki. Off the TARDIS Wiki's website. So, Atropos has fallen once again. The Doctor has thrown herself into a time storm in a desperate bid to save her friends. As time itself comes apart, she finds much more than she bargained for. All four are lost, together in memories, past, present and future. So many roles they play, so many choices they have endured. And now, what happened once has come again. So the synopsis does absolutely nothing to help.
No, that hasn't clarified it.
The plot at all. Yeah. Okay, dude, as usual. Off you go. Over to you, dude. What did you think of Once Upon a Time?
Oh, I was going to do that thing of pretending I loved it and then go, nah, I didn't really. No, I thought it was an absolute shambles, to be honest. I tell you what, it's a good job we don't record reaction podcasts.
An absolute shambles.
Absolute shambles. Yeah, it's a good job we didn't record this straight after the ep, mate, because I was just so, I wouldn't say fuming, but I was just like, I think it just would have been a massive, massive rant. I really, really did not enjoy this on a first watch at all. I was just like, what the? It finished, and I don't normally break the code. We don't normally tell each other what we think before an ep. And I didn't tell you, but I just put, what the F was that? I just messaged you, didn't I? I just couldn't. I needed to just tell someone. I was fuming. Because I was so looking forward to it. And I think the first 2 episodes have really brought me in, and I've been loving it. And I was so excited for this. I thought the 3rd ep we'd start to really sort of feel the story sort of opening up a bit, maybe giving us a few answers. And this just threw in loads more stuff in the mix, gave us even more questions. And it was just so messy and all over the place. So obviously, I simmered down. I looked at the reaction on Twitter. I mean, one thing I will say is it's got, like you said, fandom's in a fairly good place at the minute. It's got people talking, so that's good. It is one of those episodes, I think most people, or the majority of people, have sort of really enjoyed the first 2. This one is the one that is divided opinion hugely. So the reaction on Twitter was really interesting. A lot of people like myself were just completely baffled by it, really didn't enjoy it. There were some people, I mean, I'd had a few drinks, I'm not going to lie. Some people were messaging me saying that was an 11 out of 10, and that was it. And I was just, I don't normally answer. I normally just let people have it. I was like, are you serious? I was like, did we watch the same episode? Which I don't normally do. It really got me that angry. Anyway, to cut to the chase, I did give it another watch last night. I really hoped it'd be one of those episodes where I was stone cold sober, and I really tried to concentrate to get the story, because there are a lot of people out there that seem to think if you didn't get this, you're some sort of thicko. I thought, yeah, it's probably not that hard to understand. Again, if anything, I found it even more frustrating on the second rewatch, and I was trying so hard to get into it. And it probably isn't that difficult to understand the story. But I think the problem is, because I am so unengaged by it, I think it loses me after the first 5 minutes. I really like the start. So I like the introduction of Belle, and I really like the stuff with Dan talking about he once nearly got married. And I was thinking, so the first 5 minutes, I'm thinking, now hang on, maybe this isn't as bad as I thought. And then after that, when it just keeps swapping and changing, and people keep turning into different people, and we cut from location to time to different time. I'll tell you, after about half an hour, I was sat there, and your GIF you put on Twitter last night, that was absolutely spot on. That frustration on my face was that GIF that you put on Twitter, that just total bewilderment. So it may not be that hard to understand this episode. I get what people are saying, but the fact is, I couldn't get into it. So therefore, I still don't understand it. Even though I tried to sort of watch it properly, it loses me. It just, in terms of my interest, it just loses me completely halfway through. So I still don't understand it, but mainly because I just lost interest. Yeah, I was just, by the end of the second watch, so frustrated by this episode that I couldn't enjoy it.
Oh.
So over to you.
Oh. A shambles, dude.
A shambles.
Right. I didn't mind it, to be honest.
Okay.
I certainly think it's the weakest of the series so far.
Mm.
Not just because it's... I mean, let's be honest. When we reviewed episode 1, we said casual viewers are going to struggle, I think, with episode 1. And then we said there was a bit of a silver lining, because if you were fresh to Doctor Who, it just made you even more interested, hopefully anyway, to check out the next episode and that sort of thing. So there's a big barrier to entry, I think, with this series. If for some reason you've not watched Doctor Who and you've thought, I've missed the first couple of episodes, I'll jump in here, and if it's any good, I'll go back and watch the other 2 on catch up or something, then you've just got even like you said on Twitter and other people, and even Who fans like yourself, who have been Doctor Who fans for life, and for me for many years, and all the rest of it, and we know more than your average sort of person, I suppose, about Who. Even then, it's still like, just what the F is going on? Like, what? Yeah. Just what is going on? I kind of get it to a degree. I kind of get this whole thing around. It's a very. I think it's in a similar vein to when we reviewed something of the Doctor recently where they go to Trenzalore and they jump into the time stream, and then the Great Intelligence jumps into the Doctor's time stream across everything, and then Clara goes in and stuff like that. I think it's kind of in the same vein as that, where the Doctor has created this time storm in order to hide Yaz and Dan and everything away from Azure and Swarm, and so that they can't be traced. But as a result of that, the Doctor can't control anything, time, because of what's happening with the flux and everything, and what's also happening with those dudes in the white robes. They are called
the Maury.
The Maury, yeah. So what's happening with them as well? They obviously, these beings, whoever they are, they keep time in check to a degree, but because they're not firing all cylinders at the minute because of what's happening on the planet Time, everything's just gone to beep. So the Doctor can't control the time streams. She can't properly, rescue them. She can't even talk to them properly at some points. So time's basically splintered. So some of them are in the past, some of them are in the future, some of them don't recognize where they are. So I get that to a degree. It's just kind of, it's like chaos basically, but that's needed because otherwise Swarm and Azure are just going to kill them on the spot. So the Doctor just manages to create the storm before Azure snaps his fingers, and then they'll dissipate into whatever time period. So I get that part of it. After I watched it the second time, I was like, right, okay, what seems to be disorganized chaos is actually on purpose because the Doctor has created this to hide them, sort of thing. So that part of it just melted my mind for a while, and then I thought, but then when I watched it a second time, I was like, okay, this is not as bad as when I came away from the first watch. This is not as bad, but it's still, I think for me, it feels like the filler for this series to me. It definitely feels like the unintentional filler, because we know now that the person that we see at the beginning, which is kind of weird because it's the title at the beginning, the text says Belle's story.
Yeah.
But she's only in it for a little bit. She's only in it for 3 or 4 scenes. And it turns out, as we know, that she's searching for Vinder. Vinder's searching for Belle. That's why he goes back to their home planet at the end. They're searching for each other, which is something. Now, there is a lot of talk around the baby.
Yes.
I've seen loads of theories online about who the baby is.
I have as well, and I'm a little bit worried about that.
Yes, so we're not going to dive into those because they could be. I don't want to get to the end of the series and we then get people get in contact and say, you ruined it for us. That was so we're not going to go into that. So there's all that stuff. But the thing that I couldn't really get my head around, dude, is the point of it. It was one of those stories where, yes, the Doctor created the storm to hide them, and save them to a degree. But then the only real sort of thing of consequence, really, is the Doctor going back into one of her past memories as the fugitive Doctor. And it was that scene. So, at the very beginning of episode 1, where they go onto that planet where Swarm is being contained.
Oh, yeah, yes.
Yeah. So this is basically the prelude into that. So they go on to this is happening in the past. So they go on to the planet Time. They the fugitive Doctor and those people capture Swarm and Azure, and they contain them because the Doctor does say, it's either death or it's, confinement for infinity sort of thing. So that part of it kind of links into the first episode and stuff. And that's kind of cool. I get that. The rest of it though, dude, it's just filler stuff. It's just all the little scenes where Dan's off, chatting to Claire. I think it's Claire or someone. And Yaz is sort of dotted around here and there, and she sees, they both see visions of the Doctor and stuff as she's trying to communicate. All those things don't really go anywhere. It's just, right, we need to get them off here while this other stuff goes on in the episode, and then we'll bring them all back at the end and that sort of thing. So I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't hate it. It's just one of those, wow, I can see what Chibbers was trying to do here, trying to pull a bit of a moth bag thing. because we cussed Moffat hard for this sort of stuff in a couple of episodes where it's just like, why the frick is this so timey-wimey and why is it so
just
confusing?
Trying to be too clever.
Yeah, so I think it does have shades of that. It is trying way too hard to be timey-wimey. So, but I didn't hate it though.
I did. Yeah, I was going to say I didn't hate it, but it frustrated me. And I think the thing is, I get what Chibnall was trying to do. I just don't think the execution was done right.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea behind the story of jumping in a time storm and going in different places and all that. I like the idea of it, but it just didn't come together, I don't think. And someone on Twitter summed up for me. They said it's a bit like an hour-long trailer. where a 50-minute trailer where they're showing you clips from forthcoming episodes and they just put them all together. And I kind of get that, because it's just a series of different scenes that you've kind of somehow got to put in order because they're out of order. And I think the only way I'm going to enjoy this episode in the way it's intended is possibly by the end of the series. Like maybe at the end of Flux, when I'm watching it as a whole, and I kind of know where all this stuff fits in and where it's going, maybe then I'll be able to sort of put all the pieces in place and enjoy this episode. But at the minute, it was just too much of a I was going to say influx of information. It was just too much being thrown at me when I've already got enough stuff in my head for this series that I want answers for. It was just throwing in another load, if you like, another barrel load of questions. So that it was just like to me, it's just like a piece in the jigsaw puzzle, but it's in the wrong place at the minute. It's not fitting in the jigsaw. It's annoying me. I'm going, oh, it looks like it fits in, but it doesn't. It's just found it so frustrating to watch, really. But there are things I did like. I mean, I did like Belle's story. I've seemed to have immediately taken to her character. I like her, and I thought the actress was good. I am intrigued by the Belle and Vinda story. Slightly worried by what the baby might turn out to be because of some of the rumours we're hearing. But I'm quite invested in Belle. I thought she was a good character, and I think it was nice to see Vinda getting some stuff to do, even though the story itself, for what it was confusing as hell. I thought I do think the cast were giving good performances in this, so that's another thing I enjoyed, particularly Jodie, who, as you know, I struggle a little bit with Jodie's Doctor, but it was really good to see her playing the darker, a more serious Doctor. Now, I know she was trying to emulate the Fugitive Doctor because of, the timey-wimey stuff. So they give her the darker coat, but her performance was noticeably different. And I wish she was like that all the time, that much more serious, more commanding, like when she's like, blow the doors off. And she's actually got a bit of screen presence and a bit of authority. I'm like, this is what I wanted the 13th Doctor to be like. So it was really nice to see Jodie being given that opportunity to show a different side. And I just wish she'd been written more like that anyway. But what was I going to say about the overall... I'll come back to it. There was a point I really wanted to make, and I've lost the thread talking about Jodie. But it was something else you'd said that I wanted to pick up on. I'll come back to it, dude. I'll come back to it. It'll come back to me. Just can't remember what it was.
Yeah, cool. It's there was a lot of information that was thrown at you, and I think it was one of those things where if you went to make a cup of tea or you blinked, excuse the pun, you'd miss where it was, because the writing is key, because you're really relying on the Doctor, mostly with her conversations with the priests. What they call. Oh, dude, please remind me again.
What, the Maori?
The Maori, yeah.
Maori, yeah.
The Maori. So you're as a viewer, you're relying so heavily, because the Doctor's actually saying to them, look, I need to go back and get one more memory, because I think the point of where, because there is two things, isn't there, that's going on, as well as the time storm that she's created, which is apparently bad anyway. It's like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters. It's like bad.
Yeah, don't cross the streams. Yeah.
On top of that, the Doctor's going into her own time stream, and as we've known from previous Doctors in episodes, it's like crossing the streams. It's like bad. You don't do that. So, as a result of that, when she's talking to the Maori, she's like, I need to go back. she's all of a sudden, and this is a bit worrying as well. All of a sudden, we've got more of this timeless child thing creeping in, because the Doctor's now realizing, right, this is an opportunity for me to go back to into my own memories and try and find out what my, my early times were, I guess, before this whole, the Doctor thing. I don't know. And when the Time Lord sort of, oh God, I don't even like talking about it, extracted her ability to regenerate. Yeah. So all that stuff. So that part of it I really liked. I not the timeless child aspects, but I liked the fact that the Doctor and Jodie's performance. Like, there's a few scenes where she's really really going for it, really screaming, and when she's in the time storm, and she's like, don't you I need to find out, and
just one more piece and all that was good stuff. It
was good. It was really cool, and you can see the desperation in her face. She's just so desperate to use this opportunity to go and find out like I said, what was going on. And then when it all comes to a head and it's everything sort of calmed down a bit in the last few minutes, it does feel like you've been through it. Like, you wipe the sweat off your brow and stuff, because it's really calming at the end. Towards the end, I don't want to jump forward too quickly, but at the end where Vinder goes into the TARDIS and he's amazed by it. And weirdly, he knows what a TARDIS is. He's like, this is a TARDIS.
Yeah.
And then he's back on his home planet, and then it's cooled down a bit, and we still get Mona Yaz, though. The Doctor's getting a bit frustrated with Yaz, isn't she? She's like...
she snaps her head off
at
one point at the end.
Why is everything a conversation with you? And you can see her face. She's like, oh,
I know.
Handbags up, I'll go in the TARDIS then. So it does calm a bit. But the other scene I want to mention, which is complete... this is the one bit that I don't know where it's going. And that is the backstory for Vinder, who gets assigned this post to be like the assistant to this guy called the Serpent.
Yeah.
The head serpent thing. And then this serpent guy is obviously a real asshole. And he's like having a meeting with these two people. And he's like, turn off the recording. And then he gives them like his proper demands. Like, you'll kill these people and make it look like an accident and do all this. But I have no idea what that's related to, where it's come from or where it's going to go. I don't know how they're going to resolve that, because if that's just a little bit of filler so that we can see what happened to Vinder, opportunity lost, man. That's just, I have no idea what that's about, dude.
That threw me as well. That really threw me, and I hope it's not filler, because the guy playing what's his name, the new guy,
the serpent dude,
the serpent,
Grand Serpent,
he's the guy from Line of Duty. Is a good actor. So
Craig Parkinson.
Yes, I'm guessing he's going to be in it more, because they've got quite an established actor to play it. But that threw me out. One thing I did think was good though was when Mandip is in that scene where she keeps changing into the guy when she's talking to Vinder. She's sort of in this sort of military get up. She gives it's really good to see her getting something different to do. The bit where she's sat at a table opposite Vinder. Yes.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, but then she keeps sort of changing into an old guy. And again, not sure what's going on there. But again, it was just, it was a nice bit of performance from Mandip Gill, just being more authoritative and getting something to do. So I think the cast were given some great stuff to do. It just seemed too jumbled. And when I lost my thread earlier, what I was leading to, you've just reminded me, is again, without wanting to jump too quickly to the end, but it just the way it wrapped up, I didn't understand quite what happened on a first watch, and I didn't get it on a second watch. They sort of suddenly they got thrown out of the time storm. I think she convinced the Mori to sort of step back in or something. I was very unclear what happened, but it felt to me like the episode had reached its 45 minutes. Right, enough of that filler. Let's get them back in the TARDIS and move on to the next episode. I agree it was nice the way it calmed down, because it blimmin' needed to, but it just struck me as a really quick wrap-up, and I didn't quite get how everything was okay again. Like, oh, it's all good, the Morras are back on their thrones, we're in the TARDIS, off we go. I didn't quite get that. And you want to know something funny? In my drunken state watching it on a first watch. I wasn't that drunk, by the way, but I'd had a couple. Been to my parents. I remember when Vinda says, "Ew, it's a TARDIS." Oh, I haven't seen one of these in ages. And I drunkenly turned to my partner, who, by the way, had completely given up on this episode at this point, was in the kitchen, just couldn't take it. Well, and I use that as the casual viewer guide. I think, if my other half's given up watching, then the something's good, it's not good. But yeah, I drunkenly went, "Oh, Vinda just said TARDIS, and they're not called TARDIS because Susan named it a TARDIS." And it's just the look I got was just like I give
cares?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why it annoyed me, but it annoyed me and intrigued me at the same time. I was like, how does Vinton know about TARDIS? Yeah. So yeah. But did you find the Roof Doctor, did you gasp or faint, or were you really shocked to see the Roof Doctor when she appeared in the mirror? Because I feel like that should have been an OMG moment, and I don't know. I think I was just kind of expecting it. It didn't have the impact on me that I feel it should. I feel like I should have been going, Fugitive Doctor's back. Oh my OMG! But I was just like, I was kind of waiting for it to happen. I think,
Yeah. Do you know what, dude? I was
pleased to see her.
Yeah, I liked how they did that. To be fair, I think if we were looking for the OMG moment, that was in her really lovely looking TARDIS and.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff. She has got a beautiful TARDIS.
I know, inside and out. Oof.
Yeah, so I was alright with it. It was subtly done. It wasn't in your face, because one of the complaints that we had, dude, in series 11 and 12 is that whenever there's another, especially that episode, Fugitive of the Jadoon, when Jo Martin was on screen with Jodie, she stole the show, and Jodie's performance was so lackluster compared to Jo Martin that we were like, we need her to be the primary Doctor in the episode and stuff, because she's the current Doctor. But it was the opposite in those other ones and some other episodes as well. She was just a bit she wasn't giving it her all.
Yeah.
So in this one, I'm happy that Jodie had a really good performance, and Jo Martin, although she's very cool and she was good in it, she wasn't in your face and taking over and all that stuff. She was more confused, like Jodie's Doctor, as to what was going on, So I'm happy with how they brought her in. I actually didn't want that big OMG moment, because on one hand, I'm being very indecisive, I'm sorry, but on one hand, it would have been cool because the episode would have probably benefited from that. It's something cooler amongst all the confusion and stuff happening. But on the other hand, I think I prefer it because it's more of a, cool, the Fugitive Doctor's in this. Not like, oh wow, this is about the Fugitive Doctor. She's there to support the fact that the Doctor's gone back into her own time stream and this is a memory, rather than coinciding and being two separate Doctors in the same time together. So it was kind of cool, but
it's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, okay.
And also, they've confirmed that's what she's called now. So in the closing credits, Jo Martin, the Fugitive Doctor. So that then kind of cements even more this timeless child thing, dude. I think that's where we're going with it. I think we're really, I think we're going to get a big drop on this. Probably not next episode, but in the last two, I think we're going to get a big old slice of timeless child stuff. It's coming, man. It's definitely coming. But
yeah, I feel it's coming.
Another scene for you, which was another question just thrown at you out of nowhere, and then when it was done, you were still like, who the frick was that? And what's this about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the old woman, Orsock, played by Barbara Flynn. The Doctor just randomly arrives somewhere. We have no idea where or when. And this woman's really miffed at her. So the Doctor's panicking, obviously. She's like, what's going on? Where am I? Sort of thing. And she's trying to piece this stuff together. And this woman's like, well, this is your fault. Basically, like the flux wasn't like this natural thing that occurred. The flux was this purposeful thing that was placed in the universe to destroy everything. And, your mission to stop it is just futile. It's just rubbish. And the Doctor's confused, just like the viewer. Like, first, because even the Doctor, the way it was written, she's out loud, like, where am I? Can you just tell me where am I? Who are you, sort of thing. What was that about, dude? Who's that person? Who?
I've no idea. Do you know, weirdly though, and it's a scene that kind of got lost on me the first time round, because when she popped up on the second view, and I was like, oh, I'd forgotten about this. Such a random scene. I just love the performance from Barbara Flynn though.
Yeah.
It's so dismissive, and like you said, just like a school headmistress or something, just like, this is all your fault. And this thing that she says about the flux being is something that was made, you know, not a sort of natural occurrence. Again, who's made it? So that's thrown another thing into the mix. But very random. No idea who she is. Guessing we're going to see her again. But even though she was only in it for literally a couple of minutes at the most, I thought Barbara Flynn was awesome. It's just like, great performance. I want to see more of her. Basically, I want to see more of this character. But random as hell, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that was really good direction as well by Azure Salim, because if you think about it from Barbara Flynn's point of view, she's been cast as this character, and even if Barbara had watched Doctor Who at any point in her life, this has nothing to do with your everyday run-of-the-mill Doctor Who. So she's basically been given the task of being this way with the Doctor, and the director's like, look, this is kind of the reason why this character's a bit miffed with the Doctor and stuff, but you also need to play it in a way that's a little bit dismissive, a little bit passive aggressive, and that sort of thing. So she even though, like you said, she's only on screen for a couple of minutes at the most, she nailed that sense of, you know, it's almost like the Doctor getting a telling off by a teacher or a mum or something, you know, it's that kind of vibe. And that you can only get that if the director properly explains why that character's there. So she probably would have got a bit more insight about, okay, in the next couple of episodes, or even in the festive special, you're going to be back and it's going to lead into X, Y, and Z. We don't know that. So on screen for a couple of minutes, she's really got to nail that vibe, you know?
I totally get what you mean, because what it is it feels like she's already a rounded character,
yes,
which is quite hard. It's the first time we've seen her. She's on screen for a couple of minutes, and yet I feel like we've already got to know her. And I think that's what you mean, isn't it? It's like her performance was very assured. So we just got her character straight away. She's quite authoritative. She doesn't mince her words, and that's her. So it was just, I felt almost like I'd seen her before in a way. I was like, totally got her character.
And I wasn't sure if she was put there on purpose either by somebody. So this is right at the point where she's, I think she's saved Dan and Yaz and stuff. She's managed to successfully sort of hide them away at various points, and now they're back in the temple. You know, the Atropos temple.
Yeah.
To the back there, and this is at that point where the Doctor's like, right, I can go back and just look at one more memory sort of thing. I need to find out. And the Mori are like, you physically can't, you know, you can't stay in the storm anymore. You're going to die, sort of thing. And she's pleading with them and screaming, and they force her out of the storm. Basically, they pull her out. So I'm wondering if the Mori have placed her there on purpose to see that, or if the character, the old woman Orsoc, has brought her in there to let her know that she's unhappy about it or whatever, or if it was just some random event. It could be any of those three things, really, because the Doctor certainly didn't want to go there. She has no idea where it is or who that person is. So that's another thing we're going to have to wait to see who that person is.
There's a lot to play out, isn't there, over the next 3 episodes? There's an awful lot to play out. One thing I want to quickly talk about is we've mentioned how the last 2 episodes have looked fantastic. Like the CGI has been amazing. The whole production values look incredible for a TV show. What happened this week?
I know.
Did the budget run out? What? There are so many shoddy bits of CGI in this. It's not just the odd scene. It's pretty much most of the episode, I thought, to be honest. I mean, the CGI Daleks looks horrific. There's no excuse for that in this day and age, unless they really were up against time to get this episode finished. They looked awful, the CGI Daleks. But it wasn't just that. It was, you know, I did say, didn't I, when I saw the trailer that the CGI looked dodgy, and I thought, it'll probably look all right in context. But when she was in the time storm, the whole thing just looked a bit ropey. the scene in the desert with the backdrop, it was sort of blurred to try and make it look a bit better, but the backdrop looked rubbish when they're in the desert. Vinder, when he's gone back to wherever he is and it's all been destroyed, I mean, that looked rubbish. It just was well, not rubbish, but in contrast to the previous 2 episodes where the CGI really looked like, you think about the Sontaran spaceship crashing into the docks. I mean, God, that looked like something out of a Marvel film. It was brilliant CGI. What happened this week, dude? It's not just me, is it? The whole episode looked, as I said, I'm in comparison to the first 2, not necessarily bad by everyday standards, but compared to the first 2 episodes, this looked ropey in a lot of places. The spaceship that old matey from Line of Duty, his spaceship, that just looked like that could be something almost out of the McCoy era. It just you know what I mean? That side shot of his spaceship looked rubbish. Like, what went wrong this week with the production? Was it rushed?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? The visual effects side of things, because Doctor Who's got more money now to do that stuff. You can see that.
Yeah.
Even since Series 11, we've said that with every series that passes, it looks better and better, and the effects, look better and stuff. But we did say this. I think I mentioned it when we reviewed episode 1 of this series, where aside from the hanging off the hoverboard thing at the beginning of episode 1, which did look a little bit ropey in places, other than that, the rest of it, you can see, like you mentioned, the scene last week where the Pari ship crashes into the Sontaran stuff. It looks like a full-on Hollywood Marvel thing. There is that danger, I think I mentioned it, that you get this kind of style over substance thing going on where you're so consumed with how good the effects are and everything. You potentially, you should be focusing more on the story, basically, rather than that sort of stuff. So in this week, I feel like it was either a design decision, a direction decision to do that, to say, like, this is very confusing. We know it's going to be potentially a mind melter for people. So we really need to concentrate on just the characters and all that stuff. And the visual effects was going to take a back seat. Or like you said, it's a case of they were up against it, just didn't have the time to really polish it and that sort of thing. There were 2 effects for me, dude, that looked absolutely terrible. So the Daleks that were floating along, we get that, but the way that they looked, there was something going on with I don't want to get too techie, but with the shading and the lighting effects on the shaders on there. They looked like almost a matte finish without any proper lighting or anything. It was really weird. But the first effect, which was dreadful, which is this kind of swarm of little things that are that are zipping around and just sort of disintegrating people, which I assume is some kind of thing related to the flux. It has that very similar effect where it contacts people and just they sort of just blow up into smoke, sort of thing. And they looked awful. It was almost like the color blue that they chose for these little things. They just didn't contrast very well with the background or anything. So you've got this really sort of oversaturated blue color thing, and they're all sort of melting into one. But there's no lighting or shade effect on them. They're just sort of this weird matte solid color. Looks really weird, dude. Really bad.
It did. I picked up on that as well. I mean, I think what it is that's what I mean. Maybe this ran out of time, because to me, it's as if the effects haven't been blended properly. They don't look, they look too much like effects. If you compare that awful blue swarm that you've just talked about, which just looks overlaid, it just doesn't blend with the picture, so it stands out as a bad effect. If you compare that to when Azure grabbed hold of the talkie lampshade last week and it disintegrated in a hand, I mean, that was a beautiful shot and just beautiful CGI. So something has definitely gone wrong this week in terms of it. The whole production just looks like it hasn't been quite, they haven't enough time to finish it. Like, they've got the basic CGI there, but like you said about the Daleks, they really stood out to me. It's not often these days that because I was sat watching it my other half before he gave up and left. That was right at the beginning, and it's not often these days that I really, I felt my back cringe when they come on, because you know Doctor Who's sort of at a standard now where you probably not going to have to worry about wobbly sets and too many bad effects. But yeah, I really found myself go, that looks bad. Like the grading was wrong. When they turned their heads, their whole neck piece moved. Like it wasn't just the top of their head; it was the whole. It was the grill, and I'm thinking that's not right. That's just a bad effect. Like they've obviously just tried to turn the Dalek head and they've moved the whole head. What on earth is going on? I know I'm probably making it sound like I'm making a big deal out of this, because at the end of the day, I've never really been bothered by special effects in Doctor Who, because I love the classic series. You can't get hung up on these things. I think the only reason it's bugging me is because of how good the first 2 episodes have looked, and I just felt like, yeah, this episode needed good effects to help it a little bit, and it kind of made it even more of a frustrated watch to me. Like so many things were standing out. I was like, oh god, that looks awful. Every sort of couple of scenes I was like cringing at something.
Yeah, agreed, man. Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit off-putting. The other effect that I found absolutely terrible was at the end, where Vinder kneels down and he picks a bit of dirt up, and then you see Belle on the other side. If there are any fellow designers or digital artists listening, back in the day when you were first learning to do how you blend one photo into another with Photoshop, you put the 2 on top of each other, you use a gradient, solid colour to transparent, and then you have that nice blend between the 2. If it's the first time you've done it in Photoshop, it looks bloody dreadful. You need to practice over time to get that stuff looking really good. This was like the intern had a go at it, and they thought, do you know what, that's 80% there. We haven't got time to mess around, so just go with that. That's what it looked like, dude. It was this weird like gradient fade into one picture, but the image wasn't tidied up, so it had like a bit of overlay, and it didn't align. They tried to do it like Belle's sitting in the Lupari ship, and it's got like this kind of green curve bit by the door where she's sitting down, and I think they've tried to match that, but it's overlapping and it's just untidy. And I just thought, come on, that's like the basics. That's the real simple stuff that, but they obviously, you must be right, mate. They must have just been up against it. And
it's the only thing
there's no polish to it. That's the thing.
Yeah. You're right. It's as if it's like they've put out an episode that hasn't quite had the effects finished yet. It's like, an early version of it. Talking to that spaceship, you've just reminded me. So that little doorway you're talking about, we saw some cybers appear through there very briefly. I kind of I had a gut feeling the Cybermen were going to be in this for like blink and you'll miss it. I kind of felt that was going to happen, so I wasn't bothered at all that they were hardly in it. What I was bothered about is that they were made into a complete joke. Once again, they can't seem to shoot for toffee. They got taken out within seconds. It just made, the Cybermen are just rubbish these days, it seems. So yeah, I just thought, what a pointless scene. Why even ever bother having them in it, to be honest? I mean, the only good thing about it was they looked good when they were marching through the doorway, but that was it.
Yeah, that was okay. Yeah. That little shootout with Belle and stuff, and she takes them out reasonably easily. They can't. It's more stormtroopers have turned up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes.
It's kind of weird, but that scene was okay. That conversation, she turns one of them over. It hasn't quite died yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's the mission? And she's love. And he's like, or the Cyberman, it might not be a he. He's like, the Cyberman's like, well, that's incorrect. Love is not a mission. And she gets a bit perturbed by that. Yeah, that was okay. That was kind of cool. But it's interesting, dude, isn't it? That previously in Doctor Who, whenever there was a storyline where the Daleks were the baddies or the Cybermen were the baddies, they were like the focus of the story, obviously. And in this one, it's almost like they're just this fleeting, like the Daleks just zip past and that's it. Like, oh, they're Daleks.
Yeah.
And so I kind of understand this thing that Chibers is doing, where the Flux have gone through the universe and they've destroyed, pretty much most of the galaxy or the universe, whatever. And so the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Sontarans, they've seized the opportunity. So they're sort of riding the tail of the Flux, basically, so they can now go to all these planets and take them over and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's what they're getting at. So Belle is on one of those planets that's been taken over by the Daleks, and she's, evading them and stuff, and while she's searching for Vinder. So, but it's just really funny, isn't it, that they've used the Daleks and Cybermen and just these little scenes where you would never think of them doing that before. It was like they have to be the main monster focus of that episode, and it's about the Doctor facing off against them and that big build up and defeating them and all that stuff. But now it's like 5 seconds on screen. Oh, there's the Daleks. And
I felt they were just there for the trailer, to be honest. I felt it was just there to like a bit of a red herring, if you like. I've talked about a lot of stuff I didn't like. I'm going to talk about one thing I did like, which this could be Marmite. This could be the sort of thing where I say I like it and you're like, oh, dude, no. It's when they were playing the computer game and the Weeping Angel came out of the game. I liked that scene.
That was cool.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I wasn't sure if you would think it was a bit tacky or whatever, but yeah, I thought that was a good scene. I mean, that kind of woke me up a bit and drew me back into what was going on, because I just thought it was a really cool idea to have, because that's the sort of thing you can imagine like in real life, isn't it? Playing a computer game and a Weeping Angel being in it. And before you know it, it's jumped out the TV and it's in front of you. So that was a good.
Yes, that was cool. Yeah. And we've seen that before with the angels where they've managed to manifest themselves physically from something else, like
an image. Yes.
Yeah. So Flesh and Stone, that episode, they did that. That was the whole sort of crux, if you like, of that episode. So that was cool. It's interesting why they're following Yaz. I wonder what that's about, because Yaz is the only one that's getting creeped out by them. So that scene where she's gone back somewhere again in her time stream and she's got a police uniform on and she's sat next to the other one, which flits in between Jodie and the other character. She keeps seeing the angel in the wing mirrors and stuff.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really go anywhere. But then later on when she's with her sister, I think, and she's playing the game, and then that pops up, and then again in the TARDIS at the end, the angel is on her phone. So I wonder why the angels are sort of targeting Yaz to a degree. And what did you think to that end bit then, where the angel makes its way into the TARDIS and then just takes the controls? And
I loved that.
That was cool, wasn't it? Yeah. So the Doctor, the Doctor shouts, the angel, has taken the TARDIS. I've heard that before somewhere. That's almost word for word on something else.
Is it? Oh, not sure.
Anyway, yeah. So that was very cool, wasn't it? Where the Doctor actually shouts, "Oh, she's taken the TARDIS, whatever." So that was really cool. The Doctor's like, the angel's taking the TARDIS, and when we're like, frick, like what's going on? It's terrible.
And the cliffhangers this series have been brilliant, I have to say. That was another corker. I mean, it's just the way the angel flips the lever on the console. Brilliant cliffhanger, and I loved it. I loved that that last minute of the angel inside the TARDIS. I was like, I have to say the trailer for next week's looks really good. I don't want to get my hopes up. I think that's one of the reasons I was so annoyed after watching this episode. I've been on such a high this series. I think this has kind of dampened my spirits a little bit. But I'm lifting them back up, and I've got a good feeling about next week's. I mean, as I said, the trailer looks really cool, and Weeping Angels and stuff. So yes, but it was a good ending, wasn't it?
It was good.
I did like that.
Yeah. A couple more things I just want to mention, dude. We got a little bit of an explanation now about this figure that was walking around with Swarm and Azure last week. This thing called Passenger. Yep. So we know now that they're basically like a vessel for all of the people that have been captured, basically. So we saw the character die from last week, who was meant to, or the week before, that was meant to meet up with Dan on a date sort of thing.
That's right.
And she ended up going into that creepy house. Do you remember?
Yes.
And then in this episode, I think it's Azure, Swarm's like, oh, he's so good. I'll come on to him in a second.
I know, he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's like, he's Dan Lewis, have I got something for you sort of thing. And then the passenger glows, and then we see a little hologram thing of Di and stuff. And so that was really cool. But it was also used by the Doctor to defeat them in the first place. So they put the passenger on the circle thing where the Mori normally stand. So they've obviously hijacked it previously, and one of the priests is inside the passenger and stuff. So that was really cool. Like the whole fugitive Doctor, that's the way they captured them in the first place, sort of thing.
Yeah, I did like that idea actually, and I like the character of Passenger, and it's good that we found out sort of what he is quite early on, I think, rather than just standing in the background looking menacing. So yeah, I always like it when there's a bit more to a character than you assume he's a baddie because of the way he looks, but there's actually a bit more to him and all that sort of thing. So yeah. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, they're like the Boba Fett of Doctor Who. Yeah.
We've had a lot of Star Wars references this podcast.
Yeah. So let's talk about, so we've spoken about Jodie. I think we're agreed that she's had a pretty decent one this week. She's really strong, really, like, it was almost like big Hollywood films writing in some of this bit, you know, like when she's like, on my command, you know, that reminded me of Gladiator. He's like, on my command, unleash hell, sort of thing. And it's just, you know, something's quite, you know, something big's about to happen. It's epic, which is cool. I think John Bishop didn't get as much to do in this one that we've seen in the last couple of episodes, although he was still good. There was that scene where it's hopping between time when he's walking with is it with not Diane? It's with is it Diane that he's walking with? Yeah, because he goes back in the time stream. Sorry, and every time that he's about to start a new sentence, he's in a different location and stuff, and around Liverpool. That was very cool, but he just didn't have as much to do.
No, he didn't. But I have to say, I really like the scenes he's in. You know, that was a really nice moment when he was talking about how he nearly got married. And I just want to say once again, I think John Bishop is quite a natural actor. I really like the way he delivers the performance. You know, I care about Dan. And that's thanks to the way John Bishop is playing him. Yeah. You know, when he's talking about nearly getting married, I believe him. You know, he sort of looks a bit sad about it, and I'm on his side. I really, really like Dan. So yeah, he wasn't in it that much, but I like the little scenes he was in. Yeah,
that was cool. And there was that. I won't say confusing, but he was very confused. You know, when he arrives in the tunnel with Williamson, and he's like shooting at something, we don't know what, and then the swarm, those little blue things come zipping past, and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, where are we? Oh, are you in those tunnels? Or is that this area? And this Williamson guy, he's like just shouting, bellowing in his face and laughing and going crazy. We have no idea what's going on there. Again, hoping that's going to be pieced together somewhat, because we still don't know what these tunnels are for.
Mate, can you imagine the read through for this script? You know, like when they always, so at the start of every episode, the first thing they do is they all sit around a table and they just say the lines and read through the script, don't they? In every Doctor, that's just the thing they do. They must have been sat there going, like, looking at each other. Yeah, I would love to have been a fly on the wall. I bet it was crazy. I bet no one had a clue what was going on.
Yeah, well, the point of those read-throughs is that the writers and producers and the director and stuff, they can get a sense of how the dialogue is flowing and, you know, how it all works and stuff. Normally, what would happen is they would take notes and be like, actually, those two lines and that interaction could be tightened up, or that's not working, let's change that. In this, the read-through for this one, there's probably loads of times where they're like, does that make sense? And everyone's just got that shruggy kind of...
Don't ask me, all looking at Chibbers, all looking to the corner of the room where he's sat.
And he's just sort of sat there grinning like, I've got this guy, don't worry.
His drink.
He's like, just follow me. This is all going to work out. Just trust me. And everyone's like, okay.
Trust the Chibs.
The actors are probably like, what the? I don't know. I've read the lines as you've written them. Whatever else you've got planned, whatever it is, it's fine. But I've just read it as it is. I don't know why these lines are here. It doesn't relate to anything. But there we go. Anyway, so yeah, John Bishop was good, just not much in it for him. Mandip Gill, she's good. The only thing is, she was really strong when she was when Vinda pictures her instead of that old commander dude.
Yeah, really good in that scene.
She was really strong. And then another good scene where she's with her sister playing the game and the angels turn up. It's just that bit at the end where she's got that whiny...
I know.
I think she does it at the beginning as well.
Nagging.
Yeah, when the Doctor finally jumps out of this time stream and she's like, you're okay. And, you know, and the Doctor snaps at her again and she got that sort of forlorn little face. And at the end, she is getting a little bit... Like we said, there was a danger, isn't it, that she's going to become this moany, naggy...
Like Perry.
Yeah.
Or Rose in Series 2. Yeah, that sort of nagging.
Yeah. Otherwise, she was pretty sweet.
Even the Doctor's getting a bit snappy with her, isn't she? So, yeah, I know. Yeah, she was. It was just nice to see her getting something different to do. And like you said, I love the scene where she's like in the commander's chair. I thought she was quite authoritative in that. So, yeah, it was a good performance, I think, from Mandip this week.
Yes. Vinda, Jacob Anderson, he was pretty good in this one.
Yeah, I'm warming to him, finally.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. Still intrigued about there's something, dude, that's linking all, like, him and Belle and their baby and stuff together in something, because we understand that he got put on this outpost that we see in episode 1 for sort of insubordination, I suppose, and he reports that Grand Serpent dude, and he knows that putting that report in, he's going to get his ass kicked. He knows that. And then he's on this station, and the station is called Rose. It's called Outpost Rose, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then we have this whole... so there's something that's linking these two characters. I don't want to go into it too much, like I said earlier, but yeah. But I am warming to him, though.
Yeah.
He is quite cool. He's got a bit of a presence about him. It's something cool about him, I think, which is why he was very good in Game of Thrones. I didn't watch all of it, but the scenes that I did see him in, he was very good in that as well. So he's definitely got a presence. And then Thaddeus Graham, who played Belle, like you said, she was kind of cool.
I liked her, yeah. Yeah, it reminded me a bit of a sort of an Ace type character that gets stuck in. And I thought her performance was good as well. And again, she's I don't know if she's been in stuff before this. I've never seen her before in anything as far as I'm aware, but she seemed quite confident in the performance, and I think she seems to get the character she's playing. I liked her, and did her little handheld emoji thing remind you of the emoji robots? I think it's the same sound effect, isn't it?
I'm not sure. That little nod?
Yeah. You know, when it was doing the face change to a smile, I felt like, they've used the same effect from the emoji bots in Smile, but same sound effect. I mean, I don't know. I just thought that was a nice little throwback, if I'm even right about that. But yeah, but I like Belle, mate. I think again, intrigued to see a bit more from her character.
Yes,
and what's going on with her and Vinda.
Yeah. And right, so if there's no one else you want to talk about, I just want to talk about Sam Spruill, who plays Swarm.
Oh, yeah.
And Rashenda Sandow plays Azure. So he had another cracking episode, dude.
So good.
Like,
they don't even have to be in it for like a long scene. They're just, whatever scene they're in, you just can't take your eyes off them. Yeah.
So I like the fact that when we're in the Doctor's memory, we see the sort of older Swarm. You know, he's the same. He's in the same form as when those two division agents go onto the planet at the beginning in episode 1, and he's confined. He's in that old, because he's got different clothes on as well. He's got like almost like a smoking jacket on in this one. It's so he's comfortable on this planet time. You know, he's got a little bit old, a little bit chubby. He's comfortable, and it's not until he sort of absorbs the life force, I think, of those agents on the first episode, he becomes the younger version of himself. But
I hadn't twigged it was him to begin with. I'm going to put that down to the drink. I didn't even realise it was him on first watch.
Yeah, it's but there was one scene where Segan's music was perfect as well, when the Doctor was like, what's going on, sort of thing. And he sort of points, and he's got this mischievous grin on his face, and he's like, to reign in hell. And Segan's music kicks in with this big, like, that scene was like, this guy is badass and he means business. Like, the Doctor can't stop him. No one can stop him at the minute. We don't know what his relationship is with the Flux or anything. He's just such a, we said it in every episode, haven't we? He's such a great baddie, a great villain. And Azure, she's got this evil little grin sort of thing.
Cool and calculating, yeah.
So, hats off to Chibbers for writing a couple of belters of baddies for this series.
They're brilliant, mate. I love, but I think they're both brilliant. Yeah, I mean, Swarm, when he, when the projection of Diane came out, and Dan was like getting his knickers in a twist, the Swarm just turned to Azure with like this look of glee, didn't they? Look at him. His performance is just so on point. Well, both of them, they have nailed those characters. And they're so good. Yeah.
They are
they
awesome.
Look so good as well. I love the look of them, but the actors playing them are really delivering a fantastic villainous performance without going over the top. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not theatre, is it? It's not.
No, it's just proper. They're believable, aren't they? It's like, they shouldn't be. They're ridiculous, but they're so evil. They're so believable.
Yeah. And it was nice as well. There was a little moment as well where, in the memory where it's the fugitive Doctor, but it's Jodie sort of flitting between them, where Swarm gets really angry. Like, it's the first time you've seen him not in control, because he's like, tell me you didn't bring them here. Like, he's referring to the Maori, that, you know, the priests that have turned up. He just loses it for a second. Yeah, because up to this point, he's been in 100% control. He's like the perfect Bond villain for 80% of a Bond film, where he's just in total control. Everything's going to plan. And then there was that one scene where, he just loses it. It was brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Did you think Joe Martin just slipped effortlessly back into the fugitive Doctor role as well? She just just screen presence is amazing from her, isn't it? She's just so assured, so confident in her performance. Even though, again, she was only in a couple of little scenes. She's just really good. I really like Joe Martin as fugitive.
Yeah, there was a really cool line, the way she delivered it as well. When Jodie sees her in the reflection and she sees Jodie back, they kind of acknowledge that, okay, this is weird. She's like, what are you doing in my, and then the Doctor says, like, this must be my past, this is a memory sort of thing. And there was, I can't remember word for word what Joe Martin's Doctor says, but she says something like, well, it sounds like you've got a lot to do, you better go and sort it out. And then she just sort of casually walks off, and obviously the Doctor follows because it's the same person in the reflection, but just cool as a cucumber.
Yeah. And did I understand it right? The fugitive Doctor didn't recognise, she didn't know who Jodie was, did she?
No, because they wouldn't have met at that point. This was back in the way in the past. I don't want to go down the...
I can imagine, you think Stephen Moffat was timey-wimey. He was probably watching this jaw on the floor thinking, he's been completely outdone, with the timey-wimey stuff.
Yeah, if I was Moff, I'd have taken to Twitter by now. They'd be like, you lot cuss me because I threw a few little timey-wimey story threads into a few episodes. If you lot are not complaining about this now, you can all beep off.
You said last week about you thought Chibbers had a conversation with Russell. Do you think the phone was engaged this week and he thought, I'll give Stephen a try. I can't get through to Russell. Let me try Stephen. Stephen sat there, bottle of red, by the chair, and they just had a good old natter. That's exchanged ideas, and this is what ended up. Actually, I'm going to tell our writer off, Jordan Shortman. Actually, I'm going to tell him off because I've seen a few people say this, and Jordan was one of them, that they feel that if Stephen Moffat's name had been put on this script, people would be praising the hell out of it. I have to say, sorry, Jordan, I love you to bits, but I don't agree with that. And I've seen a few people saying it. I don't agree, because even if Stephen Moffat's name was on this, I would not feel any different about it. And I don't think, I think the comparison is there because it's timey-wimey, but I don't think that's true.
I think I replied on Twitter to those guys that were chatting about the I was like, well, not necessarily true, because when the Moff did it, when we've reviewed all of that stuff over the last few years, we've really let him have it for that
and he's
stuff.
Let himself have it. He will always admit when he's got it wrong. So
I think what it is because the Chibnall era has not been received as well. If you don't like that statement, unfortunately, it's true. The Chibbers era has not been that well received as the previous showrunners' eras. I think what happens is as soon as you start to see a little wobble, because even though the last two episodes have been really good, when you see this sort of episode where it's and you see the wheels start to wobble a little bit, then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we're back to Chibbers being crap. But like the previous showrunners would have been amazing. So
I get what you mean.
Yeah. So I think there's a little bit of rose tinted glasses being worn.
Yeah, you put it like that, mate. Is that if that's what Jordan's getting at? I understand that to an extent. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so those guys, absolutely brilliant. So I just want to finish on Segan's music. Again, very, very cool. There's some really good sort of action, Hollywood action kind of big themes, like when Swarm's on screen and the bits where the Doctor's in the time storm, and some of the scenes where Bell is fighting, I was going to say stormtroopers then, they practically are the Cybermen. Really good action stuff, but still no... Did you notice that there was a little bit of that theme where the woman who fell to Earth, that theme where the Doctor's theme, and they play it quite heavily when she's making her sonic screwdriver in that first episode and stuff like that. There was a little inflection of that in some of the scenes where Jodie's in it. and you thought that they were going to play the whole theme, but they only played the first few notes and the first bit of it. So they injected that a little bit, but still no instantly recognisable theme. So if Murray was doing this, we would have had a theme for Vinda, a theme for Swarm and Azure, a theme for Dan as the companion, but we don't get any of that. So I'm missing that still, but the music's still pretty sweet.
Yeah, I have to say, Segan's music's working quite well for me so far this series. I get what you mean about the themes not being there. But yeah, I don't know. It's for me, it's suiting the story quite well so far. I think he's kind of hitting the mark. He's got his own style, obviously. It's totally different to Murray's. But yeah, I'm liking it so far, this series. I think the only thing I didn't notice the bit with the Sonic, mate, I'll be honest. I did notice, I think...
No, I mean... The music in the very first episode of Jodie's. Yeah, that music. Yeah. They've replayed it, but only half of the theme. The first few notes start to play, and then it goes off into something else.
Yeah. I get it. I didn't notice it. Like I said, the only thing I did notice was when Swarm appeared at the end. There was a bit of music, and I thought that it was quite recognisable. And I'm not sure if that's something that's been played every time Swarm appears. So maybe he's got his own theme, or maybe, like you've just said, it was something that sort of harks back to an earlier series that it was a bit of music I recognised. So slowly but surely there's the odd bit that is turning into a sort of in brackets theme, I suppose. But yeah, nothing stand out, but I do like the atmosphere that's being created by Segan so far this series.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
I think he's upped his game quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, agreed. All right, dude. Have you got anything else on your notes you want to talk about?
Ooh, no, I don't think so.
No, you're good. Right, scores then. I think it's you to go first, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to give this probably a bit of a generous 6 out of 10.
Okay.
On a first watch, well, no, actually, I was going to say I think I rated it a 5 to begin with, and it didn't really go up. I'm giving it a 6 because although I thought it was a messy episode, I can appreciate the good things in it, and I don't think it's awful. In terms of, it's not really a 5 or anything lower, I don't think. It's got stuff going on, I just don't understand it. But I'm giving it a 6, which, as I said, probably a bit generous, but it's not bad. I just couldn't get my head around it. But I'm hoping it'll make more sense, once we can see the whole of Series 13.
Yeah, I read you. Okay. Well, I'm going to go with a 6.5.
Okay.
And that's predominantly for the performances for me.
Yeah.
I thought Jodie upped her game in this one. Yaz was good. Dan was really good in the scenes that we was in it. Swarm and Azure just brilliant, really good. And I'm really intrigued on Barbara Flynn's character as well. She was very good. So the performances for me, but the story side of things, although very messy, not terrible, but just, yeah. We're putting a lot of trust in Chibbers on this one, dude.
Yes.
Because we are relying on him to tie a lot of this stuff up in a nice little bow in 2 weeks' time. So if he doesn't, I'm going to go back to this week and change this to a 1 out of 10.
Oh, okay.
We are putting a lot of trust in him on this one. So he better deliver. True. So, but anyway, joking aside, 6.5 for the performances alone. Okay, so a 6 from you, 6.5 from me. I'll do another montage of all of our listener reviews. The audio reviews for that. So Seb Lane, Neil Campbell, Martin Arnold, Will Sanger, Toby Coleman, Joe Turner, Brian Chapman, Isaac Sigmar and Ian Stevens. Thank you very much for your audio reviews. I'm going to play those now. So let's see what these guys had to say.
Hi, Mo from France here with my brief review of Once Upon Time. I mean, what the living F is going on? I sat focused, concentrating, really trying hard, and understood almost nothing. The first episode, I gave a pass. It was world building, it was scene setting, introducing new characters. The second episode was actually rather good, but this was a load of old guff and sorely tested my patience. Style over substance, Jesus H. Corbett, just noise, basically. Visual and aural noise for 50 minutes. Every single bit of positivity I gleaned from episode 2 has just been eradicated. Hi, my name's Chris Chibnall, and I'm just going to put some Daleks on screen, and some Cybermen on screen, and some Weeping Angels on screen, and some Sontarans on screen, and hope that nobody notices that this whole thing is a total blooming shambles. If this is modern Who, or indeed modern TV, you can stick it right where the sun don't shine. I'm fine with my classic Who and TNG, thanks all the same. Why can't there just be plots anymore? Why does everything have to be super densely layered and convoluted and oh so bloody taking itself so bloody seriously? Absolutely hated this. Hope it's an aberration in the 6 episode run. Fear that this is how it's going to be from now until the end. And just imagine being a casual viewer and catching this. Blimey. 2 nonsensical scenes after another out of 10. Dreadful. For further thoughts, check out my own podcast, Different Doctor, Same Old S. Alors, c'est suffit. Je parti. À bientôt, mes amis. Je suis vexé.
Hello, Gary and Adam. So, Once Upon Time, whatever the hell it's called. I'm not going to lie to you, and this might sound a little bit dramatic, but I think that was probably one of the worst Doctor Who episodes of all time. I hated it, to be honest with you. It made no sense. It was so boring. I almost fell asleep whilst watching it. Nothing interesting was going on at all. It felt just like a series of weird clips, to be honest with you. The Daleks were in it, the Cybermen were in it, that roof doctor person was in it. I found absolutely no enjoyment out of it, and I felt like I've just wasted 50 minutes of my life, to be honest. Yeah, this isn't looking very good for the rest of the series, but next week looks okay, so yay! I'm going to give it a 0.5 out of 10. Bye for now.
Overall, I did enjoy this episode, although it's one of those episodes where it could be totally ruined and devalued, depending on what happens with the resolution of Flux. I liked the scenes of the companions in these altered versions of timelines, and the Doctor constantly trying to speak to them. It was very timey-wimey and structurally different, and risky in a way Series 11 and 12 wasn't, and that style of storytelling does appeal to me. I also liked Vinder's backstory, and the Weeping Angels were excellent, especially with that cliffhanger. That being said, I have significant issues with it. Joe Martin's Doctor was utterly wasted, and the plotline involving the Doctor's past holds no stakes with lack of context. And with Jodie Whittaker and Joe Martin having contrasting personalities, Jodie Whittaker in her place simply felt very unnatural. Not just that, but the Doctor's further frustration with not knowing her past is simply becoming tiresome and frustrating, and it's heading in a direction I really don't like.
Once Upon Time was a really good character-focused story. It moved the Flux story on nicely from War of the Sontarans, and even though it was timey-wimey, Chibnall did a good job explaining it. It was fantastic to see Joe Martin's Doctor back. I hope she returns. She deserves more screen time, and I kind of wanted Jodie to turn into the Fugitive Doctor for the scenes with the Division permanently. Exploring the Division was cool. Carvanista was great to see again, and the other two have to be Lee and Gap. We got to see the backstories of each character fleshed out a bit, like Dan and Vinder. I thought it was especially good characterisation for Vinder. I liked the character of Belle and how she was used to demonstrate the extent of damage caused by the Flux on the universe. Also, it was great to see the Daleks and the Cybermen en masse. Perhaps the old woman at the end is the Doctor's mother, who could be a regenerated version of the woman from the end of time, who Rassilon refers to as the Weeping Angels of old, tying in threads between the presence of the Weeping Angels in Flux and the house at the start of episode 2, which could potentially be the house on Longbarrow. But overall, I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. Thank you.
So Chris Chibnall comes up with a concept that doesn't get any explanation, and we're just supposed to buy into it with no reason to do so, and then he shoehorns in stuff to try and make us do that. Case in point, Linda's partner at the end of the episode. She's only in that episode so that in the end you can go, oh, that's who she is. But we don't have any reason to care about her, or Vinder. I don't care about him. Why should I? Dan continues to be... I don't even know why he's in it, honestly, and that's the problem. Nothing's explained. I don't know who any of these people are, this swarm, the woman in the space station, the old woman. Who is she? It's the same with Joe Martin's alternate Doctor. Who is she? Who cares? I mean, I've no reason to care. The story was rubbish. It was a hot mess, absolute mess. I don't understand what this was supposed to be, and I am deeply disappointed. I had hoped that this would redeem the show. So far, Flux has been a terrible storyline. Next week looks better though, but that's because the trailer managed to denude it of all the silly nonsense about Flux. So it looks like a proper classic horror kind of demons kind of episode. I hope I'm not wrong, otherwise I'd rather watch Tim Shaw's return. In fact, I'd rather be reviewing Country File. 0 out of 10, sorry.
What the flux was that? After such a positive start to this series, last night's episode was an absolute shambles. I've said it before, and I've absolutely no doubt I'll say it again. The Timeless Child arc is an absolute disaster. Last night's episode was so confusing. Like, even when the fugitive doctor showed up, that should have been a big wow moment. It was just like, oh, she's there. Like, there was, like, it just, I don't know. Like, I was really disappointed. I felt like I didn't have a clue what on earth was going on. There's too much going on now. Like, you know, it was just so disappointing. Even my girlfriend was watching it with me, and she was just like, Neil, this is dreadful. And I was like, I can't argue with you. I mean, I understand people listening to these voice notes probably think my accent is hard enough to understand because I'm from Northern Ireland, but your woman last night, her accent from Northern Ireland was just cringe, and she's shooting Cybermen down. Cybermen, the second biggest villain or monster in Doctor Who history, and they're just jobbed out to some girl running round looking love. What a load of nonsense. I have no idea what they were thinking. Garbage. Like, 4 out of 10. Cheers.
So, we're halfway through Doctor Who, Series 13, Flux, which feels weird to say we're already 3 episodes in. But overall, I'd say that while this episode wasn't as good as last week's for me, it was solid and would maybe be on par as same as episode 1. It certainly felt like similar because it had so much going on. I liked the stuff with Yaz and the Weepy Angel, and I loved how the Doctor was being thrown to all different bits of time, though that was really confusing. I didn't get it at the beginning. The stuff with Belle, I think her name was, Vinder's lover, I was really confused because it didn't seem to fit in, but it's nice also to get some characterization of Vinder. And who was expecting the Daleks to appear, though I thought the CGI was a bit naff. Oh well. I will say that I felt like Dan was underused, but it was amazing to see the Roof Doctor back and how that tied in with this whole Flux thing. So the Flux was created to stop the Doctor and end the universe. This sounds a bit like... Stopping the Doctor sounds a bit like what they did in A Good Man Goes to War. Who knows? Anyway, Village of the Angels, that cliffhanger was good. I can't wait. See you next week. Bye.
Hello, Garen Adam. I was at Sigmar here. So, Once Upon a Time, I thought was quite similar to episode 1 in a way, as it sets up many things that will most likely be tied up by or at the end of the series. I didn't think it was as good as episode 1, I thought I was pretty confused by what was going on, and that cliffhanger resolution left me bitter throughout. So, 6 out of 10 for me. Looking forward to next week's episode.
Hello everyone, this is Brian Chapman from a two-stoplight town with a brief set of thoughts concerning Once Upon Time, the 3rd chapter of Series 13. I try to watch an episode twice before committing a review. However, during my first watch of this particular episode, I realized no amount of extra viewing would bring clarity to what was going on, which, in the case of this season, in my opinion, is not necessarily a bad thing. I appreciate what Chris Chibnall is aiming for here, even though I don't see the target yet. On a more concrete line of thought, Belle and Vinder's story was great. Swarm and Azure continue to be an awesome pair of baddies. And it was great seeing the fugitive Ruth Doctor as well. For now, as far as scores are concerned, I'm sticking with 8 out of 10. Bye, y'all.
Thank you very much. As always, a bit of a mixed bag with those, I'll be honest, dude. So, but yeah, that was expected. I think this episode was always going to be divisive. Yeah, so thank you very much, guys. What did the listeners think over on the socials? Over on over on Twitter. Our writer, Jordan Shortman, says,
Naughty boy.
Apart from the resolution to last week's cliffhanger, I thought it was another strong episode. Really liked the fugitive Doctor back and some exploration of the Doctor's previous history with Swarm. The Weeping Angels are fun too, though the CG Daleks look terrible.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did, dude. The Courier of Who says this was a large info dump of an episode. It took 3 watches to understand fully. 6 out of 10. Also, who put 50p in Stephen Moffat for this one? DSG says, a lot going on and might need a few watches to understand. I think Chibnall is trying to fix or give an out for the timeless child, or even say fans, you've got to deal with it. The woman in grey talking about the damage to time is already done. Interesting. Interesting. Zombie Who, nice name, says, this episode will entirely depend on where this story arc is going.
Yep.
If this is some alternate dimension of Doctor's history, like I'm hoping, then this will be cool. However, if this is 100% all the pre-Hartnell stuff, then for me this is not going to be good because I'm not a fan of that story. We'll see, Zombie. Tom Turlow says, it felt very bitty, leaping around from timeline to timeline, and lacked the coherence of last week's episode. It felt like the middle section of a longer story, which it is, of course. Nice to see Dr. Ruth back. I'll give it 6 out of 10.
Oh, 6. Yep.
Doctor Who Home said, I enjoyed bits of it. Bell's side plot was a highlight, but as a whole it felt a bit messy, but quick in places and then too slow in others. It was nice to get a few answers, but looking back as a whole, it doesn't feel like this ep moved us much forward. So 6.5, not the worst ever. Our buddies over at Proctor Who podcast.
Oh, yes.
After 2 watches, I'm still none the wiser. Chibnall tries to write timey-wimey but fails miserably. Too many characters, too much jumping from one to the other. The casual viewer must have been switching off in their millions. After a good opening couple of episodes, this has really let the side down. Maybe I'll feel different after a 3rd watch, but I doubt it. I'm going to record my mini review for it after my 3rd watch, so please check out the Proctor Who podcast to see if my opinion changed. Cheers, guys. Mark. So, yeah, make sure you check out Proctor Who because Mark's back at the minute doing his mini reviews, isn't he?
He's back
for this series. So go and check the podcast out. It's very cool.
Yeah.
The 51st Doctor says, I thought it was dreadful. Poor effects, bad acting, and the story made no sense. How is the average TV viewer meant to enjoy it? Such a shame after the first 2 eps, they were pretty good by Chibnall standards. This was incredibly poor, 2 out of 10.
Oh.
Phil Vernon says, first watch, don't watch an episode like this after a large Sunday lunch and a few glasses of wine. Nod off for 2 minutes and you've got no chance. Second watch was much better, but ultimately this was Moffat tribute act without the sparkle that the Moff brings.
Oh, yeah, wow. That's a good way.
Okay. Jessica says, another episode with a lot going on, but it held my interest for the whole time. And this time, the music wasn't overpowering the dialogue. Enjoying this season very much. Interested to see some more of Vinder's story. An 8 out of 10. Nice. Nick H says, at time of posting, I've only watched this one time and it feels like 2 or 3 viewings are needed to get everything that's going on. Bold and inventive storytelling. We should have had more of this in the last 2 seasons. A 9 out of 10.
Wow.
Chippy T, loads of Twitter negativity, but I liked it. Lots to take in, but the Doctors were good. Vinder's story fleshed out with Bell. Great cliffhanger, creepy angels, sinister evil plotting, mysterious lady threat. It's not dull for sure. Rewatch essential though, a solid 8.
An 8, okay.
And lastly on Twitter, Vince Bishop says, Once Upon a Time was absolutely fantastic. A bold move into challenging territory. Deep, dark, daring and dangerous, the kind of Who I want, but not in every single episode. Complexity is good, especially when it's this exciting.
Yes, you wouldn't want it every week.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vince. And then there's a few on Facebook. Joseph Howarth says, sorry I haven't been able to send an audio review. Life got in the way. No worries, Joseph. It's all good. He said, this story just didn't make any sense. Nice to see the Fugitive Doctor again. And we do get a glimpse of the other Doctor's past, but it was so timey-wimey that it was kind of bored halfway through. It's quite a long review. Joseph goes on to give it a 3 out of 10.
Oh dear.
Not good. Andrew Stewart says, I'm pretty sure I enjoyed it, but I managed to keep track of what was going on, which is good. And I thought Bell's story was excellent. I'll give it a 7.
7.
Mark Hugill says, I've never been so angry after an episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, sounds like me.
Says, what a mess. Incomprehensible drivel from start to finish. A lot of the dialogue was drowned out by the music. I wonder how many viewers are still tuning in at the end of this so-called epic. A 1 out of 10.
God, that is like, if that was me after my first watch, I actually used the word drivel as well. I remember turning to my other half going, oh, what a load of drivel. I'm sure that wasn't me drunk writing that.
Yeah. Lastly, on Facebook, Charlie Turner says, fan service galore.
Wow.
The craziest episode since Series 5 with Matt Smith, The Big Bang, 11 freaking years. Can both of you guys believe it? Anyway, whether it was good or not, I'd say that it was somewhat in between and a weeping angel piloting the TARDIS, ? There may be greatness to come at the time of this writing, though. Can't wait for next week.
Yes, I'm looking forward to next week.
Indeed, yeah. Crikey, dude. So a real mix. We knew it would be divisive, this one. A mixed bag across everything.
Yes, big time. I mean, but it, again, as whether I liked it or not, I like the fact it's got us talking. So there's plenty to chew over in the old grey matter with this one, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah, defo. Yeah, we've gone from a 1 out of 10 to a 9. So, and everything in between. So, yeah. Rightio, dude. We're going to come up to the episode now. So next week, I don't think we need telling, but what are we on to next week, dude?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So it's called Village of the Angels. Be interested to see how Chibnall writes the Weeping Angels. Is this the one written by him and someone else?
Yeah.
There's only one episode, isn't there, which is him and someone else co-written with someone. Is it, or is it the next one?
No, I think, there was only one that was co-written by, so I think it's this one. It was a female writer, isn't it? Maxine Alderton.
Villa of whatever, yeah.
Yeah, Maxine Alderton, yeah. Yeah, Village of the Angels, yeah, written by both of them.
So, yes, looking forward to that. Village of the Angels.
Indeedy, dude. Yeah. Okie dokie, I think we're going to wrap there, dude, for 332.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Doctor Who listener, for coming back and listening to another week. That was episode 332. A 6 from him, 6.5 from me. Dear, that was good actually to talk it through with you, dude, in the review, because as we were talking through and stuff like that, there were a few things I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, same. I thought that. There's so much to take in this episode, isn't there? That's why it's good to talk through with you, actually. Just, it brings out stuff that you didn't notice, and yeah.
Indeedy, yes. Next week then, for episode 333, all the threes, we're going to be talking about this Sunday's episode, which is Village of the Angels, so that sounds rather intriguing. See what those cheeky angels are up to. Might see Sally Sparrow make an appearance.
Or will they finally get Yaz?
Might shut her up a bit,
Imagine.
though. Hey.
Shock exit for Yaz. Imagine that.
The Doctor's like, thank God for that. So, until then, make sure you follow our podcast in whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on. That way you won't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. You can also listen to the episodes for free over on the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. And you can check out the reviews and articles from people like Jordan and Maria and Mark and Harry and, all of our writing team. So go and check those out. We are on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links are on the website. Come and give us a like and a follow. We're chatting lots of Doctor Who at the minute on the socials, so come and get involved over there. And we have a free Discord server. So a link on the website, hop over there and chat more Doctor Who with some cool Who fans. Also, as always, make sure you check out my co-host channel. It's over on YouTube. It is The Geek Sandbag.
Geek Sandbag, yes. Go and have a look at my vids. And happy Christmas ruined. And and I'm on all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yes, so go and do that.
Go and find me, yeah.
Okay, so have a cracking week, everybody. Enjoy Chapter 4, Village of the Angels. We'll see you next week. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember... Allons-y.